Hey, Mark Rodriguez here. You're watching America's number two biggest, best short for lasagna, the fighting podcast. And with me are
Jack Knives from Jack Knives Reviews.
Wendy or Jupi Chan or Ninja Jupi, whatever you choose. And now I'm just going to turn this over to the one, the only man of the hour, man with the power, the man I wish had better AC, Johnny Rodriguez.
Yes. All right. So today, guys, for this episode, again, legendary men return. And we talk about February 2 and February, I think it was called the New Battle, right? It was the OAV based on February 2. So we're talk about the game, the anime movie, but since Jack and Wendy weren't there the first time around, we'll just real quickly go over the first OAV, just in between context and all that. So anyways, let's see. So February 2 came out in 1992. And it was a big one, I believe. Yeah, we owned that one, didn't we, Johnny? We owned the original Neo Geo version of it for a while before the Neo Geo, died. But yeah, it's a good game. It kind of established a lot of the like the character designs and stuff going forward. I kind of compared a lot to how Street Fighter 1 and 2 were. That Street Fighter 1 was whatever, but Street Fighter 2, like that's what really kicked off, at least design-wise and stuff. February 2 did the same thing. Terry, Andy, and Joe got their more, what can I say? Their more iconic looks. Like I guess February 1 was kind of good, but fine-tuning, but part 2, like that was their looks going forward. Like it's hard to remember that part 1, Terry didn't even have the famous star on his back. You know what I mean? Like that's how weird it was. And let me see what else. So basically the story is kind of weird. I'm not too sure exactly because it varies, whatever, but my understanding is there's an international fighting tournament this time because February 1, it was basically all in Southtown. It was King of Fighters tournament. I hear different names for the one. I think the Neo Geo instruction book called it the Sultan of Slugs tournament, but I'm not sure if it was called something else in other, The instruction book was very Americanized. Lots of jokes, lots of stuff. I remember the Art Fighting 2 instruction book was saying stuff like the attack button does, attack. The other button does whatever. The evade button does, whoa, we can't get one over on you, can we? It's like, wow, they really, lots of jokes and crap. But anyways, it's a now international fighting tournament. And to add a little bit of storyline and cutscenes, because, one of the things, the first game had cutscenes and stuff. The second one is like, there's mysterious forces going around, beating up the people from February 1. February 2 had a whole new cast. It was basically just Terry, Andy, and Joe. Everyone else was new. But, like, you would see these cutscenes of some mysterious people beating up, like, Richard Meyer and Duck King and Wahai from part 1. So that's kind of cool. So, I guess we can talk about the characters just real quick. Or if you guys want to talk better, have you guys all played a game, anyone that hasn't, to kind of go through the story of how we first, encountered it?
You've never played it? Whoa. I have a very funny history with Fatal Fury. Funny enough, see, I used to there was a local arcade that was near my house when I was growing up, and this thing was like all decked out. Like, honestly, looking back on it, I was like, this would be, if I were to think Mark making an arcade, that would be it. It was like that. Like everything, like almost the entirety was fighting games. And then like one section was like sports games, and then one section was like, skee ball. The rest of it was just
that would be Mark's arcade, mostly fighting games and like
exactly
jam or something.
And then a couple of shooters here and there, but mostly just fighting games. But it was so funny because I remember distinctly that around the time that Fatal Fury 2 came out, when Fatal Fury 2 came out, the two biggest games at the time were Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat. But when Fatal Fury came around, all the crowd that was into Street Fighter 2 moved to Fatal Fury. They loved Fatal Fury more than they loved Street Fighter. And what's so funny about that is that if you actually look at the history of like fighting games from like a perspective of things, Street Fighter 2 actually copied Fatal Fury's mechanics. It was originally called Fury Mechanics. That's where you get that slide. If you ever noticed in the original Fatal Fury 2, that slide mechanic, which didn't get established in Street Fighter 2 until Super came around. So Super kind of established it, and Turbo basically turned the mechanic faster So it'd have that kind of swooshing sliding effect that then King of Fighters took. So it was kind of like they were copying each other. But what was so great is I loved Fatal Fury so much. I loved the mechanics. I loved just this cool feeling of like, I know Street Fighter's called Street Fighter, but Fatal Fury felt like it was in the streets. Like they actually were beating the crap out of each other. But then they had these crazy bombastic characters, and my 3 go-tos were always the same in all the Fatal Fury games. It was always Terry is my main, obviously. Gotta use Terry. I use Terry, I use Joe, and I use Mai. Those were my 3 mains. I always use them in almost all of the games, except for I think one of them didn't have Mai. I believe like one of the later ones didn't have Mai, which I was like, I think the least selling one because it's Mai. I'm like, come on. But I loved the game because it was so so fun. But I did love the one thing I do love, and I know it's a little messed up, but it's so great, is that they never changed the voice actor for Geese Howard, and he's supposed to be this like extremely the whole backstory for Geese Howard, like from what I've read about, he's supposed to be an American who desperately wants to be Japanese. So, but he doesn't know how to speak English. The voice actor didn't know how to speak English. So his English is hilarious because he's all like, I remember he couldn't say, one of my favorite things is like, I love the way he used to say too easy because he could never say too easy. He'd go, too easy. And I'm like, what? He'd be like, that was too easy. I was like, what? I was like, it's not even close, but okay. But that's why if you watch in Legend of the new movie, the movie that we saw, that's why he's randomly feeding koi fish and everything looks all super Japanese because he wants to be Japanese, but he's not.
Yeah, he's just like the ultimate weeb, basically.
Exactly.
He's a badass businessman. Don't fuck with him or whatever, but he's the ultimate weeb.
Exactly.
But, yeah, the cool thing is, I don't know, like, I kind of felt, at least the way with Johnny and I, that Fatal Fury and the SNK games kind of felt like our little secret thing, like our cool thing. You know, everyone's playing Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat. That's the mainstream, but we got some Fatal Fury shit over here, yo. And, you know, we got Southtown and all that, you know, because I remember some EGM magazines talked about Fatal Fury 2 and Special, and I was confused because, you know, obviously the same graphics or whatever, and so I didn't know enough between what was the difference between one and the other, you know. But then when we got in Mexico, we got lucky enough to, like, this arcade store had, I guess they were just switching them around. They had Fatal Fury 1 sometimes, Fatal Fury 2 sometimes, Special. Before King of Fighters came out, then King of Fighters would be like, you know, that's the mainstay. They won't change that one. That'll stay until the next one comes out or whatever, you know. But we finally got a Neo Geo. We got lucky enough to get them. They were going cheap. They were still expensive, but they were cheap. They were like $200 or something instead of the $400-500 price tag that they were back then, you know. And so we got lucky enough to get a Fatal Fury 2. And yeah, so we had it at home. So we had all day to play and study every whatever because we were playing it at home. And yeah, I just like that. I like extra detail on the backgrounds and stuff. One thing about Fatal Fury 2 compared to 1, like 1 was weird. I don't know how you jump in and out of the backgrounds on purpose. Like at least in part 1, it felt like the bad guys would knock you to the background, or if they themselves jump, you could jump after them, but you yourself couldn't or whatever. Now in Fatal Fury 2, it was way easier for you to purposely jump in and out of the backgrounds, and you had an extra attack that if you hit them, you can hit the bad guys, knock them into the background. And then in the later stages, there's actually hazards in the background. So like when you fight Lawrence Blood, I'll get to him in a bit, there's all these bulls running in the background. You can knock the guy into the background. You score a free hit that way. So, yeah, so we got to play the game. And obviously my story is pretty much Johnny's story because we both, you know. And we do know there's a Genesis and SNES version. I've only seen them, like other people playing them in the arcade because back in Mexico, once like the PS and all that stuff got more popular, the arcade guy, to save money, would just rig up the consoles and have you play. Like it would play for like maybe 15 minutes and then stop, and it's like, well, put another peso in there, put another what was it? I don't know. When we first got to Mexico, it was these big fat ass golden 1,000 peso coins, but then the money changed. So I think it was just like a small little peso coin that's almost the size of smart and a quarter, kind of like a nickel, sort of, kind of, whatever. Yeah. But anyways, that was the only time we saw like the lesser versions of Fatal Fury 2, but we were kind of like, we had your own at home. We don't care, that kind of thing.
So you owned a Neo Geo console?
Yeah, we bought it from Funko Land shortly before they became GameStop or whatever. They didn't Funko Land and EB Games fuse to become GameStop.
Damn, I've been wanting to own one for years. I've made no qualms that I am a hardcore do or die SNK fan. Like if you just look at their back catalog, it's crazy how good of the games they were, but they were so underlooked. I remember I owned Fatal Fury 1 and 2 on Sega Genesis because the Genesis was the console that I owned. And they did change some of the mechanics, like in the original arcade, I think there was 4 buttons, right? Usually with the joystick, there was 4.
No, part one had 3, but it was, that was the only game that the 4th button did nothing. But part 2 has 4 buttons, 2 punches, 2 kicks.
So for part 2, I remember distinctly that in order to do that kind of switch thing where you could either switch your character or switch the background, if you wanted to switch it, I think you had to go to switch to the back, you press up and then C, and then in order to switch characters, you push back and then C. So it was as opposed to the other, when you played the arcade, it's just one button and it just does it. And then if you're going in the background, it's I think that button and then up will put you in the back, and then if you just press that button, it switches out characters. Something like that. But I remember I love SNK. I wish there was more, if we ever had the ability to make a live action with full creative control movies based off of video games, I would want it not make a Fatal Fury right away. What I would make, just to get the crowd in, a Metal Slug game, Metal Slug movie, Just imagine the mechanics of Metal Slug, but in a live action movie. It would be hilarious. But I would love, but a Fatal Fury movie would be also pretty badass, as long as it's not like that terrible King of Fighters live action movie. But that's a whole nother story.
We'll eventually have to, unfortunately, watch that one and review that one. But
yeah, we'll get to that one day. But anyway.
So just real quick story. We don't get too long, but we are lucky enough to own a Neo Geo. It was used, obviously, and it was kind of I don't know. It kind of felt like you could crack it apart if you wanted to, because it was kind of loose. Because again, used. So we had Fatal Fury 1, we had Fatal Fury 2, we had World Heroes 2, and Art of Fighting 2. Those were the only games you could get, and I really hate it because there was a big Mexican marketplace thing in Mexico City, a huge thing, but it's all kind of sort of, kind of stolen, pirated, all that kind of junk. So we bought Art Fighting 2 cartridge that just did not work. We did everything. It was just black screen every time we turned it on. And I always hate that because we got lucky enough later to go back, and I was like, don't even test this shit. So, they fucked up, so fuck you. I don't care. So I traded that game for World Heroes 2. Knowing full, and I know it's bad, knowing full well that they'll sell it to someone else, but that's their problem, whatever. But we got World Heroes 2, So then there was this this place in Texas we would go sometimes that had some games in there, and they had Neo Geo games too. How rare was that? That Neo Geo games amongst your, your Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and all the other more common shit. So they had Art Fighting 2 there, and this time I felt more confident because it was a legit store. It's new, it's wrapped. You got to turn the plastic off. It's new. So we bought it and we had it, but it always pissed me off because I was like, dude, we already if the one we bought the first time worked, I would have bought. They had Double Dragon there, the Double Dragon Neo Geo game, and the thing is, some games for the Neo Geo that particular store cost 60 or so we got that, and then others still cost 100, 200. That King of Fighters, whatever, but it was 200. whatever.
I totally forgot they made a Double Dragon game for Neo Geo until you mentioned
and what pissed me off is I would have gotten that because when we came back next year, I guess the guys must have wised up because, usually the older stuff like World Heroes, Art of Fighting, that would cost, $40-$60. They're the more older games. Double Dragon was slightly newish. When I came back the next time, it was still there, but now it costs 100 something because I guess the owner, wised up. Hey, I can charge more money for this one, But that always pissed me off. We could have owned like 5 games if that Art of Fighting one worked the first time around. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But so, anyways, let's go to the characters real quick and everything. So let's see. So obviously Terry, Andy, and Joe come back. I don't think they have much reason. It's just there's a new tournament and stuff, so they just jump in. I don't think they have like a deeper.
Well, I think they retconned the first movie. I think they retconned the first movie for Legend of the Blue Wolf or whatever it's called. It's called Legend of the. Is it called
Hungry Wolf?
Hungry Wolf. Sorry. Yeah, I think they retconned it because in that movie, when Joe met him, like they kind of just acted like they didn't know each other, and he's like, "Yeah," it was like, "Oh."
Well, that's their first everything.
Yeah, so it must have retconned the first movie. So the whole first movie, the motion picture, must have been like completely retconned.
Well, no, the motion picture was like their part 3.
Oh, because we got it.
We'll actually watch that, review that whenever we do February special, because that was kind of, sort of, not really, but sort of the special movie. We'll go to that one. Yeah.
Right.
But the second game, like I said, in terms of story, I don't think they had much. I learned the manual just described who the characters were, but no real why they're into the tournament. Because tournament, let's do it.
Yeah.
So
it was Geese is like, I'm gonna do another tournament. It's like, well, know what this is.
He was still dead back then. He was still dead back then.
Yeah.
And
it was someone was like,
part 1, he was dead. We later find out that
he was
still dead during this.
It was a mysterious tournament, and then no one knew who orchestrated it, and we're like, we know who orchestrated it. Come on, it's like, no, you'll never guess who it is. And then you get it's Geese, isn't it? Aha, it was me all along. I'm like, yeah, we kind of figured the finals.
That's February 3, I think. I mean, this was Krauser's tournament.
Oh no! Oh wait, are we talking about the game or are we talking about
the game first? And then
I was like,
yeah.
Okay, you're right. Yeah, so that's right. So Krauser was in Fatal Fury
Part 2.
Yeah, he was in part 2. Yeah, okay. I got the movies and the games mixed up for a second. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just
that's right. Krauser. Yeah, that's right. Krauser. Yeah, that's right. Krauser was the main boss in the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally spaced on that. Yeah, I was like, I thought he was in part 3, but no, it was yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I remember he was a pain in the ass to fight.
Oh, he was.
He was like he was almost as bad as Goro. Like Goro to me, and as far as old fighting games, was the most like fuck you. Like as far as fighting game villains, because it's like that piece of shit would just like jump off screen, and then you just had to guess where he's gonna be. Bam, 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 bam. I'm like, at least Shao Kahn, you could see where he's coming from. Or like, at least with Geese, it would be like his power move you'd at least get a couple seconds before he hits you. But like, Krauser reminded me a lot of Goro because it was just so hard to hurt him. And he would just dodge you so quickly. I'm like, shit. It's like
back then, because eventually I beat it with everyone, but back then, like the easiest one for me was Joe, because with the slide kick, you could kind of trip him up sometimes if you get lucky and everything.
Yeah, if you use the slide kick, you can kind of balance out like his like bouncing. Oh shit. Yeah, with the slide kick, it's kind of like it reminded me a lot of how when you find the what was that? I forgot what the move's called in Mortal Kombat 2. You know that the one Liu Kang does where he does like the fast like air kick. What the hell is it called?
It's just called a flying kick. I only gave a crazy name. This is a flying kick.
Yeah, but it reminded me of that where it's like as soon as you figured out how to do it, you're like, oh, I'm gonna do this shit. Like that was how Joe's slide kick was. It's like I'm gonna use.
So I remember in February 2, that's where Terry Bogard gets the crack shoot. He didn't have that in part 1. Andy, I'm trying to remember, because I'm pretty sure he had Yeah, I think in part 2, the Kohodan was the new move, the flying kick thing. And then Joe's new move, try to remember, was probably the slash kick, maybe?
Yeah, I think his was like it was like a wasn't it like a diagonal kick? Like it was like something
Yeah.
like off upward like that way? Yeah.
Yeah. Because obviously he had the Hurricanes and the TNT punch in the first game and everything. So then for newer characters, you get, of course, everyone's favorite, who became, even though she's in Fatal Fury, she became basically like SNK in general. SNK's like top babe. Mai Shiranui. With 2 big reasons why everyone loves her.
It's her fans. It's her fans.
Exactly.
She has these
They love her fans.
huge, giant fans right in your face, and you love it. Everyone loves it. We all love it. We all appreciate it. Nothing gets the fans riled up like fans, big honking big metal fans in your face.
Yeah. So in this story, well, the anime did that too. So I like that they kept lots of stuff faithful. So yeah, Andy went to train in Japan with I think her father was named Hanzo Shiranui. So she's like, it is weird though, because her last name is Shiranui, but she's also Shiranui Ninja. So I don't know how that goes. Like she's named after her clan, I guess, but she's a Shiranui Ninja. And one thing I remember about her the most, which is kind of weird, and the home versions, of course, would censor it, is like Mai and Chun-Li's outfits were very, very similar.
Yeah.
But the major difference is that Chun-Li had like leggings under, and she had her dress covered, front and back. Mai is naked. She has no leggings.
It's pretty
much
the
flap thing only covers the front.
Yeah.
So
I think
for the culture gentlemen out there, you remember we did mention earlier you could jump in on the background. So when you're in opposite sides, obviously you got the guy in the background looking at you while you're in the foreground. Obviously your back is turned as you're facing the opponent. So when you pick Mai Shiranui, you're gonna see that big old booty staring at you. And of course, as the characters can crouch in this game, yep, you can make Mai bend over in the game. Yeah. And that's like February 2. Well, being cultured, no, SNK, being cultured since 1992, but I remember that they gave her like a weird dress, or they did something weird in SNES version. I'm sure Genesis did too. Some kind of something so that you wouldn't see her ass or whatever.
Yeah, for kids. Anyway. But no, I think what's so funny is I actually think it's actually her being really seductive, I believe, is actually part of her character, because her style of because yes, she's part of the ninja clan, but she's actually her style of using the ninja arts is seductor style of ninja. Like there's actually like a seductress, there's like a seductor version, there's a hidden version, and then there's like a brutal version, which I guess the brutal version is like, I know there's like a character, I think in part 3 or part 4, who's like a ninja who just like is like huge, he just like beats the crap out of people. I could be mistaken. I could be thinking of one of the King of Fighters games, but I remember they said something about that he was also trained in her style. I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, I guess her dad just like, I know all the ninja techniques, and her dad, and she's like, I'm gonna wear it. What, Dad? There's nothing you can do, Dad. And he's like, okay.
Now, one thing, of course, in defense of Mai, it's like what you said. She does purposely dress that way to distract the opponent so she could take you down while you're busy looking at the boobs. But the thing is, despite her dress, her outfit, and stuff like that, Mai is actually a good girl. A lot of people like to make the assumption, oh, you mean, all these negative terms for women we're not going to use on this show. But she's not. Because she's like super in love with Andy Bogard, super devoted to Andy Bogard. I like their dynamic, and the anime actually kept that too, but that's the dynamic. Andy Bogard is kind of like the Ryu of Fatal Fury, even though he's not the main character. He's like the super serious, only focused on training, while Mai's spawning all over him. And Andy either is oblivious or you would kind of wish he would like drop the thirst, And it gets to the point that there's some King of Fighter games where Andy isn't even in the fucking game, like King of Fighters, the Maximum Impact ones. And my whole plot is, where's Andy? Where's Andy? Like, bitch, he's not in this game. Get the fuck out. But yeah.
I just imagined her in Sonic and Knuckles. Where's Andy? Where's Andy? And Knuckles is like, Like,
Yeah, so that's her dynamic. But yeah, Maya is actually a good girl. I actually believe. I mean, I don't know about Andy, whatever. If unless Andy actually puts out, Maya's pretty much chaste. I'm pretty sure because I know she's not going to get it up to anyone. It's not Andy.
friend zone.
Yeah, the only hint that they might be doing some once a year maybe is one of the King of Fighter games. Maya would pull out like a fake baby and freak Andy out before the baby just like I guess it vanishes into poof like Ninja Magic or whatever. So people are kind of saying, hey, why is he afraid of her being pregnant? They're not, something's not going on there, But that kind of thing, So that's my Shiranui. And then the other characters, we got Big Bear. Big Bear is Raiden from Periphery 1. And SNK is pretty weird. The characters, wrestlers in the SNK universe are super kayfabe.
They are.
They really do their whole personality. They're super kayfabe to a fault because Raiden would work for Geese knowing he's corrupt as Raiden, but he never would as Big Bear. So Big Bear's his face persona. And this was back before I knew what, that was and everything. And his theme song in Fear Free 2 is very similar to the theme song from Fear Free 1 is Raiden and everything.
I think in the game, if you switched alternate colors from him being Raiden to Big Bear, in continuity, they're two separate characters. Like I think actually like they're in continuity as two separate characters. So it's like I'm gonna take you down, Big Bear. You'll never get me, Raiden. And it's like, is he? And then you're sitting there thinking, like, is this in front of a mirror?
Yeah, they're doing something similar with Tisok and King of Dinosaurs. They're also the same person and all that. And they like to do the joke where everyone knows. Like Terry's like, "Hey, Tisok, hey, I don't know who you are," that kind of shit. You're saying something, Johnny?
Oh no, I was just saying that Big Bear did it first before DLC was a theme.
Yeah. So anyways, let's see who else we got here. We got Jubei Yamada, which is, Japanese martial arts guy. He's a judo master. He's old, but he's still, dangerous and everything. And of course, he loves the ladies, and all that. We got Chang Shinzan, who's a big fat businessman dude. The voice is always very annoying though, very, very whiny in the game, and he has the poses. And he was cheesy because all his punches and kicks were like 2-hit kicks and stuff. I always thought the computer was doing moves until I play them and find out that those are his regular kicks and punches. Like they have like multi-hit kicks and punches, and he throws like these energy balls and stuff like that. And let me see who else we had in the game. I'm just kind of rushing through them pretty quick because I know there's not too much to say about them at this point. Did they get, more fleshed out stories the more we get into the games? Let me try to remember who else do we have in there. Let me see. We got the main four. Oh, of course. How can I forget? We got Kim Kapwan, which is so weird. This is early Kim Kapwan because in newer King of Fighter games, he is super obsessed with justice and fighting for justice and shit. So this is before he got like that. He's a good guy, but it wasn't like the whole obsessed with justice crap like he is in newer games. And he's a Taekwondo fighter, and he has like the Moon Crescent kick and the Flash kick and stuff like that. So he's pretty cool. And I believe those are the original. There was 8 characters back then you could pick from. So yeah, Terry, Andy, Joe, Mai, Big Bear, Jubei, Chang, and Kim Kapwan. Yeah, those are the 8 characters. So then we had unselectable boss characters. We're gonna only talk about here for 2 now. We're not gonna go into special. You can pick them till then. So we'll do that in that episode. So in part 2, first we had Billy Khan coming back from Fear 1 with different look and everything. His stage had like he was like fighting inside a clock or something. I don't know. There were all these gears in the background. He would knock your ass into the gears in the background. The second one we had was Axel Hawk, which is a boxer. That in my opinion, he kind of looked like Butterbean, sorta. He was kind of popular sort of back then. And he actually threw hurricanes and stuff. He was very cheesy because he was very speedy with the punches and everything, And I think he was the only boss that had a finisher because I guess you could say only him and Croucher had finishers in the February 2. I'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, he was a boxer. Lawrence Blood was the Matador with the bulls in the background. He's the second in command, the final, before you reach the final. And of course, the real final bad guy is Wolfgang Krauser. And I mean, we just know he's an evil guy from Germany. The anime did a lot of backstory, which I'm not really sure if it's canon to the game or not, but it sounds cool, you know. But yeah, and the weird thing is, he also dies at the end of Fair Fury 2. If you defeat him, he just fucking drops dead.
Yeah, dead.
He also talks, I don't know if it's English or not, but he talks like real clear English. I think he was voiced actually by an American dude because it looks epic. Like, before you fight him, to really add to the emphasis, you know, like I said, you see these cutscenes of this guy, like you just see like his boots or his shoulder, you know, as you see like Duck King and all them old guys beat up, you know. When you finally face him, he just appears out of nowhere. The stage has like the organs and the piano, you know, the organ stuff. And is it up? No, it's up. Yeah, it's up. Then it pans down to see, you know, when you fight him. And it's so cool because before it even starts, you got the classical music playing in the background. And you hear the guy say, "I will chisel your tombstone." Or I think it's gravestone. Yeah. Gravestone, tombstone, one of those. "I will chisel your gravestone. Sleep well." And then like the actual fight starts and it's pumped up. And of course, Cheesy, it's all fucking hell. He does his fireballs. He had the leg tomahawk kick. And of course, the fucking Kaiser wave. That was a giant fucking ass fireball. You cannot, like, you know. So you're fucked if you're like, I mean, the good thing is he takes a while to charge it because he's always like, Kaiser wave. So like, like, if you're in midair while he's doing that, you're fucked.
Yeah, you're screwed. The only way you could dodge, you can't even dodge it. You have to either block or get hit. Like that's your two choices.
Or get out of the background or something. Because
it's really hard to dodge it. It's one of those moves that's like, oh crap! Like I got to figure out what to do now.
But the thing about Krauser, though, is that at least he felt more... I mean, he was difficult and cheesy, but he wasn't, like, as bad as Geese.
Oh, yeah.
Because Geese was literally just... The moment it says fight, he literally... Rapu, and you're like, whoa!
Yeah, he just destroyed you.
Rapid fire.
Geese, I still fight to the... I still argue to this day. Geese Howard, in my opinion, personally, is... probably one of the toughest old school fighting game bosses of all time. Possibly in my opinion. But maybe, like I said, maybe second to Goro. But like I said, like he's like, holy crap. Like literally it's just a round one fight. I'm like, holy shit. It's like I didn't even get time to grab my chalky milk. No, I'm kidding. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. But like it doesn't even prepare you for how quick he is. And then I'm also like, dude, like this guy is, I was like, but Krauser was tough for a different reason because Krauser was just so like Geese was like nonstop. And then Krauser was tough because it felt like everything you did barely hurt them.
Yeah.
Like even your strongest moves, I think like even if you hit your like super, it like did like maybe like a fraction of what it did. So I was like, holy crap, this guy is tough.
Yeah. So to get there, this game also introduced the I think this game came out. No, Art of Fighting 1 came out first, I think. But anyways, and the more, you know, this game introduced the concept or sort of between this one and Art of Fighting 1. I can't tell which one came first. But anyway, they had big super moves when your character was low on health, when their character's life was red. And of course, these super moves would also like become like the moves these characters are known for in later games. So Terry Bogard had, of course, the Power Gazer, whole fucking exploding fire thing. Andy would do the Kohodan, but he'd be like covered in flames this time. So that it was like the Cho Kohodan, because Cho means like super or improved version, I believe. Joe Higashi would do the Screw Upper, which is big ass hurricane that covers the whole screen. So, you know, if you're jumping into that, you're screwed. Mai had the Cho Hisatsubashi, I think it's called, because a regular flying elbow dash is called a Hisatsubachi, I think. So the Cho Hisatsubachi is her like, but in flames. A lot of in flames in this one. Kim Kaufman would do the more popular, just dashing at you and beating the shit out of you until you die, you know? Big Bear would do like if you got a reference to the first game because Raiden would hit you with the spit, mist, kind of like Aleister Black does it. In this one, Big Bear like actually does a big fire, like a big flame throw thing. So again, lots of fire. Jubei would grab you, jump off screen with you, and crash on you down there. So that'd be kind of epic. And Shin-san would throw these regular fireballs, but of course for this he would throw like a bigger ass fireball that was harder to or energy ball I should say, that was harder to avoid. And the bosses didn't really have theirs at that time. Billy didn't do his until special. Axel would randomly do it, but of course since he wasn't selectable, he could do it whenever the fuck he wanted. He didn't have to follow the rules of when his life was read. So he would basically just run at you. But it'd be funny because he'd be like, bust you up, and then just beat the shit out of you. But the English, and he says it so fast, you can swear he's saying "fuck you up" as he goes over there and beats the shit out of you, And Lawrence had no super, and of course Krauser, well that's the Kaiser wave, But technically, I don't know if he would. I think he would wait till his life was. He always seemed to do it at the most climactic moments. It would be rare he would do it at the beginning.
He was a very theatrical villain, both metaphorically and literally. Like he was very like I think the best way I could describe him is imagine if M. Bison was the Phantom of the Opera. Like
or rather if M. Bison was just the Raul Julia version, because that is super theatrical.
But he's like playing the pipe organ. It's like, I'm gonna beat the crap out of you, but first Beethoven's Fifth. You're like, what?
No, man. So I think we covered most of the bases. You guys have any final memories of the game before we go into the animes? Because now that I think about it, because that's the thing though, I don't want to go too into the canon. I think a lot of the stuff that the anime movies have, I don't think it's really in the game's canon. The first one had more to work with because the first one had the whole, because that is the game's story. Geese Howard killed Jeff when they were kids. They left. They came back as adults. Desert the King of Fighters tournament. They take down Geese. That's all in there.
Some of the details of how, which we'll get into, how did change in but for the most part, it's a pretty cut and dry story. It's like bad guy kills daddy, revenge for daddy. Like that's pretty much the first Fatal
But then
Fury.
part 2 goes into just there's a new guy making a tournament. And he's going around beating up the older ones, but that's as far as it goes. There's no whatever. It wasn't until why the second movie is like that, which we'll get into it.
It wasn't until Fatal Fury 3 that they really started focusing more on a story.
Yeah,
I think the first two were more of just like, hey, let's establish what kind of game this is. It's almost like SNK was looking at the audience going, you know what you signed up for.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Yeah. So before we get into the second movie, because we already did talk about the first one, and in this case, since Jack and Wendy weren't in it, Jack and Wendy weren't in it that much, and also Johnny, you probably forgot details. Any things you want to say about the first anime movie before we move on to the second one?
It's Legend of the Hungry Wolf, you said?
Yeah, that was the first one.
Well, first of all, I gotta say, Geese had simultaneously the most ingenious and dumbest fucking way that he killed Jeff Howard. He literally was like, I'm not only going to make a human shield, human shield of children, I'm going to force these children to hold him while another guy stabs him and his kids are on a boat watching it. I'm like, you had to plan that level of stupid. And all this is happening while he's sitting in a limo just going, that's funny. You're like, what the? Also, I start going into the mechanics of what the fuck did he pay these children in? Did he pay them in candy? Like, what did he do? How did he get these children? They're like, I'll protect you, children. And I'm just sitting there like, dude, Jeff, let go. Let go of the kids. And he's like, oh, while holding on to a child. I'm like, no, look, I'm sorry. Not trying to be a dick. If three guys are coming at me with knives, and there's a group of kids. I'm literally drop kicking those kids out of the way. Like, you knew what you signed up for. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with these kids? And then you find out, like, with the teal-headed girl, oh, she was working for Geese, but she wasn't, but then she was. And then also, okay, there's so much I have to get into in this movie. First of all, Geese, hilariously like mustache twirly evil. I laughed so hard at two scenes specifically, other than the child scene. Two scenes specifically. One was when he's the teal-headed girl. I totally spaced on what her name is because she's not even in the games. Lily. He didn't just kick her out the window. He freaking cannoned her ass out the window. And she lands head first, no blood, no impact, and has enough time to go, Terry, I always loved you. I'm like, no. If she was able to talk, what she'd say is, like, that's all she would be able to say. Her head should be a tomato can. That's how like, I was like, no, I love anime, but that's like, even for anime, that's some fucking wacky mechanic shit. And then the other thing I loved was when the teacher was showing him how to do the tiger, the main his finisher. I totally spaced on what it's called.
Yeah.
But the and he turned. I'm like, I was trying to visualize. Okay, how are they going to make this look? Because I know what the move looks like, and I'm in the game. I'm like, okay, is it going to look like that? Nope. I'm going to turn into the fucking Tasmanian devil and just whirlwind him into the pool. He's like, I'm only going to show you once. I'm like, what the fuck was that? What the hell was that? That's your finisher? It's all like, did you get all that, Terry? Yes, master. Okay. I'm like, what? No, I have so many questions. What the hell just happened?
I think that wasn't done in the modern age because Terry would have been all like, oh fuck, I missed it. What? And he's already dead.
Well, hang on, do it again. Oh shit. I was too busy filming a TikTok. I'm sorry. Shit. I was doing a TikTok. He's like, I'm sorry. He's like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, master. I was filming a thirst trap for TikTok. And it's like cuts to him. It cuts to his thirst trap where he's got the hat. He's like this. He's got the hat. He's like, I'm like, no. But yeah, I just remember those scenes. Also, the other two things I loved was I loved the scene where they're like, boss, they took down our biggest guys. And he's all like, should we stop him? He's like, no. He's just feeding koi fish like casually. I'm like, no, they just took out two of your biggest guys and you're just like, not now. I'm feeding my fishies. I'm like, that is some hilarious evil level shit. And I will say the other two things I laughed because I'm like, the ending was so anticlimactic. Like it felt like the end battle was literally less than a minute. Like it's like starting in a wrestling video game and having unlimited finishers and they're already fully capped. It goes ding ding ding, finisher at the end. I'm like, oh shit. Like I'm like, and then he's just like, wah. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then it's all like, and they are like, till we see each other again. I'm like, that's your freeze frame? What the hell? It's like you're just gonna leave. I had so many questions leaving ending the first one. I'm like, I had so many damn questions.
Oh,
but that's my thoughts on the first movie. It was hilariously good though. I loved it because it was so cheesy. That's why I loved it.
I liked it better than that second one. At least the story was coherent and everything kind of made sense as far from a storytelling perspective. That second one. But anyway, I kind of liked it. It was really cheesy. I'm more curious about the Japanese version though. I would love to watching the Japanese personally. It's just like hear the original voices, hear how they talk, how they say certain words. I'm just curious. Like, so I can see what their personalities are more like based on how they say certain things. But I kind of get an idea just through the English version. But yeah, it was all right. I'm trying to think. Like you said, what's her name got shot out the window and Lily fell and hit her face. I'm like, I mean, the way she did it, she like landed on her forehead and face. It was like face first, and then all of a sudden, no scratches, and she was like, "Oh, I love you." I said, why is your skull cracked? Why are they not calling the hospital? I mean, the morgue. I mean, something. I mean, seriously, that she shouldn't even get that out. And the other problem I have with that, they only met like 2 days. I love you. We just met. You don't know me. I love you. What the heck were they going with that? Where were they going with that? Oh, I hate
Also,
that
how
kind
is
of-
that
I
going
hate
to work? How is that going to work? She caused his dad to die.
But Terry remembered her. It didn't matter because he remembered the flower, and it didn't matter. Love triumphs. Oh, and also because she was a street urchin, and he took her in.
I just imagine Jeff Bogart in heaven, like,
Like, what the fuck, bro? Like,
This is very irrelevant, but kind of fits this. Okay, so I'm just gonna get into this, and I want to stop. But you guys know the film Forrest Gump, right?
yeah.
All right, so there
Well,
is the part where Forrest Gump what is it? His friend dies and he goes back home and he does stuff for him. Now, a few years ago, India did their version of Forrest Gump. And
oh no.
yeah,
God.
yeah, oh no is right. So what happened was that they kind of kept that. The Indian Forrest Gump had a friend. Instead of just shrimp, he was interested in underwear. I'm not going there. He gets killed by the enemy. Forrest ends up saving the enemy because he's too stupid to realize it's the enemy. Later on, they didn't have a Lieutenant Dan in the movie to help him with the shrimping ship, but instead they had the enemy helping out Forrest to take out his dad's friend, whatever, and it's this guy's fault that his friend is dead, but nobody brings that up. It's the same thing with Lily.
we're just gonna be. It's the basic anime trope of. I don't know if you guys ever follow ProZD on YouTube. He does like really funny short clips where he makes fun of anime or video games. But he points that out. He's like, in anime, usually in shonen anime, there's always that one character who's an absolute, in every conceivable way, a monster. And yet later in the series, he becomes like one of their best friends. And it's usually like, oh, yeah, but he's good now. It's all like you think about like Vegeta. Think about Vegeta. Vegeta ended planets, like actively genocided multiple people and killed and almost slaughtered all of Goku's friends. And he's just like, but he's a good guy. Just like in Super, he forgave Frieza and he was just cool with Frieza. I'm like, he fucking murdered your best friend and your multiple best friends and almost killed you and literally ended your race. But it's cool, guys.
They retconned that as far as I know, didn't they? Didn't they end up retconning that?
Nope.
I mean,
It's
in my
canon.
mind, whatever they do in Super doesn't even count. But I'm sorry, it doesn't.
But no, I'm just saying it's the point. It's that trope
It's
of,
just,
hey,
yeah.
it's like, hey, you killed my friends, you killed my family, you punted my dog, you ate my goldfish, and you burned my house down. I'm sorry.
Right. Oh,
Okay.
for the OAV, I would have to say that my favorite, I really do like Joe. I really like Joe. He's a fun character. And I really like Geese too. I like his voice, honestly. I like Geese's voice. It works. It worked for me. But that
I like how like all the laughter all the time.
crazy.
Jeff will be dead. I got the skull.
Yeah.
I just like
He
the
will
laugh.
die soon. Like
You know what's
everything,
funny?
everything.
I think he's actually the same voice actor who played M. Bison in the not the anime, but the cartoon Street Fighter. And that was the best part of that cartoon. Because like I love there's a scene where Chun-Li's attacking M. Bison and she goes, you killed my father. And he's all like, oh God. It's always I killed your child this, I killed your child that. I killed my father too, but you don't see me whining about it.
Oh no! You missed the best part. No, Chun-Li was like, "You killed my father." Cammy was like, "You killed my father." It's like, what is it with you women and your fathers? I killed my father. You don't see me complaining about it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, yeah, it's the same voice actor, I think. And I'm like, primo villain voice.
All right.
Johnny, what were your thoughts on the first movie since you did see it yesterday?
It was good. I think it's kind of like the basic storyline, but sort of, little changes here and there. Was pretty much the basic storyline from the first Fatal Fury video game. And yeah, I agree with Wendy. I do like Joe. I think Joe has a lot of personality in the movie. He's like one of the better voice actors, in my opinion, of the movie because everybody else is off. Like just reading from a script. Like, come on, guys. Like I don't know. I almost felt like the voice actors they were kind of like I don't know because it's not Street Fighter. It's like who cares in a certain way.
Most voice actors, they kind of you hear these people who either just do not give a shit or they don't even try.
No, the worst part was Andy Bogart. That was the worst part. Like, oh no, so and so died. That cannot be. Like that line read was the worst. Well, yeah, that was kind of weird because I was still trying to determine the lore between the game and what was official, and I was very confused that they killed or that Tung Fu Ru died in the first movie. I was very confused by that. I was like, what the hell? Because in the games, canon-wise, he's still alive. Even now in King of Fighters, the newer King of Fighter games, he's training a new generation of students and stuff. That's another thing too. Back then, everything was so simple. I mean, most of the character stuff was Terry, Andy, and Joe, and Geese. Everyone else was just, well, here's some guys in the tournament you fight, and whatever. So I thought that Duck King and all them were bad guys. I was confused. Like, all the manual said was, watch out for Tung Fu Ru. He's a little old guy, but when he turns buff, watch out, I didn't know that he was like, I guess he trained Terry and Andy. And I don't know if that was something maybe the anime got, kind of like the Street Fighter anime, where a lot of the stuff from the Street Fighter anime became canon in the games. They kind of did that now because now in these newer games, like the later Fear Fury games, like Fear Fury, not Real Bot, I think Fear Fury Real Bot Special, if you have like either Terry or Andy and you're facing Tung Fu Ru, they do a respectful bow and stuff like that. And in the newer King of Fighter games, they mentioned that he trained Terry and Andy before. Now he's training these new guys and stuff like that. But yeah, a lot of the weird things, but that did confuse me. And I was a little very confused. I was telling Wendy about it too with Lily because she appears in the next two movies as flashbacks. But the thing is, we won't go too much into motion picture till another video. But we saw those first. We didn't see the first one till later. Johnny and I used to rent these movies from some place that had the anime, and we would see stuff like early Dragon Ball Z movies and stuff like that. So we got to see Fear Fury the motion picture, then Fear Fury 2, and one of the Randomness movies. They never had Fear Fury 1, so we never got to see it. But you see this girl appear a lot in the movies, and you're thinking, damn, that's like Terry Bogart's like the love of its life. Like, holy shit, like what? Then you watch the actual movie where she was actually in, and it's like they knew each other for like 2 days or some shit,
If that long.
Okay, so any other thoughts, final thoughts there, Johnny? I think you were still in the middle of saying anything you wanted to add, and then we'll just go to the next one.
I did find it disturbing the way he died and that the kids were wrapped around him and the fact that, Geese killed him and, the kids are holding him or whatever and it's like blood is falling out the kid's face like that. That's kind of like, I don't know, man. It's kind of disturbing in my
You're talking about Jeff Bogart, right?
yeah. But
Yep.
the yeah, but definitely that Liddy storyline was just like I don't know, man. That was just like a rush job. That was just like the movies doing the stereotypical that there always had to be a love interest with the main character of the movie kind of thing. But they did a poor job on that one, to be honest. I was just like, what was that? It's just like,
Well, it was an OAV, and OAVs are generally short anyway, so they had to just squeeze everything in. So I'll give it a slight pass.
Yeah.
But like I said, at least the story made sense.
Okay, so on that note, let's get on to Fear Fury 2, the new battle. And I do have to say that I did like the beginning a bit. It did kind of reference a bit to the games. I do like just like I said before, in the games, it was like this mysterious person going out beating up, the older guys. So to kind of reference that, they made Krauser, I think either Krauser or Lawrence Blood, I think it was Lawrence Blood, that went out to beat up Billy Khan while he was also at the Pow Pow Cafe, and Richard Meyer was also there. So Richard Meyer cameo there too. And yeah, he beat up Billy. He shows like Billy's staff busted in half to Geese Howard. And we get the whole plot with what's going on. So basically speaking, I guess Terry Bogart's like living in like just helping people out with construction or some shit, and some girders fall, and he does. The funny thing is, okay, the guy that's with him is surprised
What?
that he did
Yeah, no
all
problem.
the
You have a good one.
girders. Oh, sorry. The guy that was with Terry was surprised that he kicked all the girders and stuff. But I like how the explanation is just like, wow, you must like know martial arts and stuff. Yeah, do martial arts. Okay, makes perfect sense. Like, okay. So Terry Bogard got a sprained leg because of the girders. Kim Kaufman comes in for a friendly challenge. They fight it out and stuff, but Terry's still kind of hurt. This annoying kid named Tony, I'll let you guys go into detail about him, is a big fan of Terry Bogard. He was such a big fan, he didn't know he was standing right next to him until someone called him out, They detect Wolfgang Krauser. So Krauser's directly, because Krauser went to Geese to mock him and make fun of him because Geese is now secluded in the cave somewhere. He's a hermit somewhere or whatever. He just got beat up once. He just got knocked into the fucking fountain. And now he's like, okay, well, fuck me then. My life sucks now. I don't know. So Krauser wants to know the name of the guy who did it. So Geese says, yeah, Terry Bogard, go get him. That'd be fun. What do I care, And yeah. So Krauser finds Terry. They challenge her to a fight. The epic thing is that after all the build-up from the first movie, to see Terry's new ultimate move, the Tung Peru move, like fail against Krauser. In fact, to the point that Terry was like doing it, and Krauser's, oh, you mean like this? And like Wendy said, looks like fucking two Beyblades crashing, basically. And between that and Tony's overall design, now let it rip, But anyways, Terry got defeated. Tony mentioned that he was worn out from the previous fight. Krauser's like, oh, so he's not 100%. I'll challenge him again later, and all that. Bishon and Krauser, I'll call him. Because you didn't get to see the game, Wendy. In the actual game, Krauser's a much older looking fellow. He's got a big old mustache and stuff. But I guess for whatever reason, they decided to hey, we need another hot guy in there. So Bishon and Krauser it is. So anyway, Krauser leaves. Terry goes into a big depression. He becomes a fucking drunk and
he becomes an alcoholic. I was laughing so hard. He beat him so hard. He turned into an alcoholic.
Oh my God, that's just so weird. And yeah, so a big chunk of the movie's that. The others find out. We get some, of course, there's Space Fear Fury 2. So Mai gets introduced. Mai gets her boobies grabbed. And yep, there you go. And Andy Barr's introduced. Of course, everyone's got their newer Fear Fury 2 designs and all that. Let me see. Wow, I can't remember all the details. But yeah, they have to snap Terry out of his drunkenness. It does last for quite a bit. I do like how they did a little flashback of how Terry was like, I guess, toughened up throughout his childhood because, of course, back then he had to, during his training to come back and avenge his father at that time and stuff. random cameos of Mickey from Art of Fighting beating him up and Jack from Art of Fighting beating him up. That was kind of Art of Fighting cameos there. And yeah, what do you guys think of that scene in the bar with Axel Hawk and trying to get Terry to fight? So it's like get this other guy to beat up the kid and whatever. It's like, what kind of bar is this? Like, what's everyone doing? Like,
Oh, yeah. For that part of the movie, like we were all speculating and saying, it's like, all right, what's his name gets the crap beat out of him and he's knocked out for 3 days, but he did get knocked into a brick wall. These kids, these dudes are beating the crap out of this kid is like, what, like maybe 13, 14 years old, and all he needs to do is like, hey, I'm ready to go, Terry. You're all sobered up. Let's go and go out for your battle or whatever. You get knocked out for 3 days. I can go straight to, I can help you go do whatever. You know, like no big deal. I stood up to them, Terry. Good job, kid.
One part I'll mention before we get to it was there was a scene where they're in the airport where Joe and Andy are at the airport together, and this mysterious girl gives a love letter to Joe that actually I guess a letter, they don't actually show the letter itself, but I guess the letter like tells them like where Terry is, but it's like it never explained who sent the letter or what. Now I was thinking maybe it was one of Geese Howard's goons, because Geese did send his people like all over the place. Like throughout the entire movie, they're always like, you know, Ripper and Hopper are always in the background just watching, and you know.
That's the only thing that makes sense.
That or she was a ghost the whole time.
I don't know. So let me see. So there's another scene where Andy and Mai are kind of staking out the area. So Lawrence Blood goes after Mai. And there's, you know, cool fight scene between the two of them. This really seriously pisses off Andy. I like the part they actually even cuts him off during his monologue, you know, the bag monologue. Oh, yes, you know, let's see if you can defeat me. And then he's like, he can, right? Right in the middle of his talk.
Yeah, I'm like, fuck, I was like, did he just pull a me? Like, because I would totally do that in that situation. I was like, yes. Don't let the villain monologue. Just hit him.
No, man. And we also get a scene that Joe Higashi tries to attack Krauser in the hotel room and stuff. So that you know, Joe got to show up as screw-upper, but it didn't end up well for him anyway. And yeah, we got
that was the best part of the movie for me, honestly. That was the best part because I just really like Joe. So any scene with Joe, I just enjoyed it.
Yeah. So then we get, of course, to the big fight, and, you know, Terry just, you know, he fights Krauser, and Krauser ends himself and stuff. But for more story stuff, that's just weird, because, again, I don't know if this is canon to the actual SNK lore or not, like the games, but here they do it like, I guess Geese Howard is a half-brother of Krauser, and I guess Wolfgang Krauser's dad, Rudolf Krauser, was with Geese's mom or something, and I guess she got sick. He just left her to die, and Geese was like pissed. He wanted to like kill him, but Krauser got in the way. So I'm assuming Geese and Krauser kind of grew up together, hating each other, and of course that hatred, you know, reached in adulthood. So Geese's whole plan is like, yeah, go after Terry, because, you know, either he kills Terry or Terry kills Krauser. I mean, someone I hate will die, so you know, it's a win-win for me.
I think it's more. I think that was all made up for the movie, because honestly, I'm like, I think they just wanted to add a reason to. I think they wanted to add a reason for everyone to hate Krauser, because in the game it was just like, hey, new bad guy just dropped, and that's it. Like, it's not like, you know, like in the first one it's like, oh, that's why you hate Geese. And this one is just like, well, there's another bad guy, guys. It's like, oh, okay. So it's like, I guess we got to give him a reason in the anime. But I guess it does. I mean, I can't. I don't know why. I just had like, I can't. They don't even look alike, like at all. Like, like yeah. I'm like, they're not even. There's no way they're brothers. Isn't like
It looks like half siblings or something.
They don't even look like half siblings because I'm like, dude, isn't like Krauser like 10 feet tall? Like
he took after his dad and Geese took after his mom, or maybe
also no one is asking the no one is asking the real questions. Why in the hell is he have these giant football player shoulder pads? What the hell?
What I was wondering the whole movie.
Thank you. Why? I mean, like, I understand when he's fighting them, when he's confronting them, but he will be like just sitting in his lair, playing the piano, wearing this giant lunky thing. I'm like, why? Is it to scare your mates? Like, I don't follow. Like, I don't know. It just made me laugh.
Oh, speaking of that, that was something I really liked. I loved that gothic feel with him playing the organ. I loved that.
Yeah.
And I loved what he was playing.
It was better done I will say, what they did they made Krauser better in the anime than they did in the game. I will say that. Because in the game, it's just like kind of like, he's bad and he plays the pipe organ. Okay, fight. In this one, it's like, no, he's very like, oh, Geese, you couldn't beat him, but I could. And Geese is like, fuck you.
I like the voice they gave him. Typical.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I liked his voice. I really did like his voice in that. I love the baritone in his voice. Yeah, it just worked.
My favorite part was the Joe versus him fighting and stuff. Because like, please, Joe, this is a hotel. Please,
yeah, he's like,
die a little more quietly. I'll have to ask you to leave.
He was like if Maximilian Pegasus was a fucking fighting villain. Yugi boy. Anyway,
the thing about the movie though is that there's almost no, because like the whole movie is just Krauser beat Terry's ass, and Terry was so like traumatized he became a fucking drunk, and it's like you gotta sober him up and go back to fight Krauser because
I also Scrappy Doo Terry, or that little kid or whatever the fuck you want to call him. I call him Scrappy Doo because he's literally like Scrappy Doo. He's like, Terry with his puppy power. I'm going to go fight him. Hey, hey, fat kid, don't dress up like Terry and make fun of him. I'm like, dude, he's not making fun of him. He's dressed like him. He obviously likes him. Hey, don't talk bad about Terry. I know everything about Terry. He's like, I know every single thing about Terry. I'm his number one fan. I will always love him. And it's all like, hey, kid, who are you, random stranger who looks exactly like Terry Bogart? No.
But the thing that started it was they were kind of making fun of his father or something. So
yeah, but I'm just laughing because I'm like, I understand making fun of his dad, but like also the fact that the kid just tackles and starts fucking wailing on that other kid. I was like, what happened to this? What is going on in this movie? I will say though,
problem. The pacing is all messed up.
I will say that scene with the iron beams dropping, that was kind of badass in a weird way, in the cheesiest way. And what Krauser did to Terry, he didn't mic drop him. He fucking went and bought every microphone, put it in a bag, and spilled it. That's what he did to him, because he didn't just fuck him up. He ended him. He's like, yeah, you know all that shit you did in the first movie? Yeah, who cares? It's like, not only am I going to do what you did, I'm going to do what you did better than you instantly. And you're like, I also love that Joe didn't try to, come on, Terry, get back in there. He just looks at him like, God, you suck. Bye. I was like, yeah, because that's what a real friend would do. It's all like, man, I can't believe it. I lost. And I've been drinking for 4 days. Like, you've been drinking for 4 days? You fucking loser. Bye. I was like, yeah, that's exactly what a real friend would do. A real bro would do that to another guy. Would be like, hey, I'm here, buddy. I'm here if you need. No, they'd be like, you fucking loser. Like, they talk shit. And they go, hey, and then they do that to kind of toughen them up. But especially in fighting games, but I just laughed at Joe. Joe was just not having it at all. He's just like, God, you fucking
Screw you, I
suck.
want to beat a Krauser.
It's like, dude, really? You suck. After all that shit, you suck, man. And it's just like, I also like to think that Geese was so upset in that cave, not just because he lost to Terry, but you remember the ending of the movie, Terry hit him so hard he blew up his castle, basically. And like,
And the way to
I just imagine he's in that cave crying because the fall killed his koi fish. That's my like that's
all
the
of his
real
koi are gone.
not the koi. He's like, you'll never understand my pain, Krauser.
Oh, when I, with Geese
Mr.
in the
Fishy
cave-
Cakes will never be around again. And Mr. Cuddle Wuddles, you'll never understand, Krauser.
With Geese in the cave, it kind of reminded me of Sakaki in Pokemon Gold or Pokemon Silver, because in the end of the red and the blue games, after you beat Sakaki, he disappears and the whole organization disbands. But you find out in the second game that all of his people that are in the gang, they were trying to rebuild it, and they were trying to find him, and they were doing it through like radio broadcasts so he can get messages to him. And you find him later and you have to challenge him again. So that was kind of interesting. That kind of made me think of Geese, because he was hiding out in a cave and he had like a radio. He kept listening out for like if his all of his lackeys, did they get their team, get their gang and organization back together, because this snot-nosed brat made him lose all his entire organization, his company, and all this stuff, because he was a gym leader, but he was doing all that illegal stuff on the side. So, he was like a mafia boss.
Also, I know it's an anime, and I shouldn't be overthinking this. How the fuck is Krauser running an evil organization? Have you seen him? He's got purple hair, wearing a bright, big-ass freaking football player uniform, and twirling around wine, and everyone's just like, oh, who could possibly be the evil guy running this organization? I'm like, and then like I just imagine them arresting some random dude who's just working at a flea market. It's like, it's him, get him. It's like, anyway.
I was gonna say this one more something else too about Tony, because I know y'all didn't like Tony. I didn't really think much of him. I thought he was fun to make fun of, but I didn't think much of him, because even though he was hanging out with Terry and was tagging along with him, he was pulling his weight, because he was working throughout the movie. If you notice, he was doing odd jobs. So he was always making money while he was with Terry. So I give credit for that. But I didn't really think much of it.
I think the problem is the same story could have been told if you took that kid out and just replaced it with Andy. It would have been basically the same story, because Andy is already kind of Terry's support system. I mean, he is his brother, and even though Andy is doing his own thing, I mean, like, he kind of is his real support system.
Yeah, okay, I will admit that did bother me, like at the end when they were saying we have to fight to see who's strongest to take over Krauser. Pushed you into a wall and knocked you into being a drunk. You should be coordinating, working together to take him out.
Yeah. Joe. I'm like, you, Joe, Andy, fucking even throw Maya in there. Have all of you guys just surround his ass and beat the shit out of him.
Exactly. That's what I was expecting.
That was the thing, like I'm saying. Like, I know Krauser did like other things, and they talk that his family does corrupted things, but like within the concept of the movie, he hasn't actually done anything. He just beat up Terry, and now Terry wants a big rematch. Where literally speaking, you could just, you know what I mean? You can just walk away. You know what I mean? Obviously, it doesn't make for a good story, but you can just walk away, keep fighting other guys. Like, I'll beat up Geese every day, but not that dude or whatever. But it's like everything just hinges so much on Terry just must sober up, get back, and defeat Krauser because you know, it's not like you know how like in any other movie you have 10 days or Krauser will, I don't know, detonate bombs all over Germany or some shit. No, it's just fight him for a rematch. And I was telling yesterday when we were watching it, that's kind of like Rocky 3 sort of, where Clubber Lang just beat up Rocky, and then of course the rest of the movie is him overcoming a fear and training whatever and going to beat him for the final. That's kind of here. Krauser beat Terry has to overcome his fear and beat him at the end or whatever. And I can imagine the press conference of Terry with Lily there, and Krauser just showing up like you are not the real man, Terry. You're not the real man. Hey, Lily, if you want to see a real man, why don't you come over to my house and I'll show you a real man. Just to get Terry riled up or some shit. But oh man. Johnny, any thoughts on it?
So I wasn't really too crazy about this movie. I think there was a lot of I kind of liked the first movie because I think the first movie was a little bit more faithful to the video game adaptation, but the second one was kind of weird, like the whole Krauser so-called being related to Geese Howard in any way. That's kind of weird. Like, I don't think that's not like in the game, and I guess he just made that up in the movie just to make things up, I guess. And I do have to say that I do find the Tony character kind of annoying. I can understand it. Maybe, like he's a little fanboy, a Terry Bogard, but I think they overdid it with that. And the fact that they drag him along even through the Krauser's, I don't know, mansion or whatever, and Terry Bogard, Krauser, the kid is still there. I'm thinking, why is he there? Why are they dragging the kid there? Like, what logic does that have? I'm pretty sure his mom was worried sick. Like he's been gone for I don't know how many days. And
he learned.
He's little watching two grown men beating the shit out of each other. Having a fight to death. And yeah, he killed Geese Howard. I mean, he killed Krauser.
Yeah, another thing. So, another thing about the movie was that I guess Krauser, I don't know, I guess that's how their family works. Krauser had to be strong enough someday to kill his father and take over, so he did and everything. And I guess since then, Krauser has not really felt anything in years. He has not had a real challenge or whatever. And then now that Terry beat him and everything, it's like, oh yes, I've never felt much more alive in years. Now I shall kill myself. And he throws himself off. It looks like a big crater formed, a big hole in the wall. So he threw himself off the wall and stuff. I guess to make it more epic and more dramatic. I believe in, that character trait's kind of similar in the game. That he literally just drops dead, which is weird. Because, one of the weirdest things, because you don't see this in too many video game bosses, but when you defeat Krauser in the game, he actually stands up one more time, but he's like, you were perfect! I have met my match! And then he falls and he's dead. And then the screen has this awesome like pan out of your character like that, whatever, with him dead behind you and all that kind of shit. Yeah. But here it was more epic, just throw yourself out the window. But it just, I don't know, that whole thing was weird. And like, I guess with his father, and this is the anniversary when I killed my father. I had a dream about him, like he was trying to tell me something. Like all that anime stuff. Then his fucking glass just shatters, so he knows that this is the day he's gonna die, and Terry's gonna come in over. Like I'll be downstairs. Please escort any guest that may arrive to my quarters. Like he already knows. And those are some weird.
His key was tingling. He sensed Terry's key.
And also, I think I figured out why they brought along, Johnny, I think I figured out why they brought along that little kid. It's Terry and Andy learned from their father the power of the child human shield. They they remembered what happened with their dad, and they're going, you know what? Geese was on to something. I just imagined Andy and Krauser about to hit him, and Andy just picking up the kid and putting it in front of him, and he's like, to the little kid.
So anyways, another thing I want to mention, two things about the movie. One thing, there was a deleted scene that, no, not about mine. There was a deleted scene that I don't know why they deleted it, and even I was confused when I bought the, there was a 1-2 special, I think it was called Fear Fury Double Impact or something like that had both movies together, and you see the picture of the characters. You see Big Bear there. I'm like, when was Big Bear in the movie? I mean, he was riding in the first one. Where was he, So there was a cut scene, which I don't understand why. Like Wendy said, maybe it was just cut for time, but stupid. Joe is fighting Big Bear in a random arena someplace that Cheng Jinsan is running. So that's his cameo there too. And during the fight, not only does like Big Bear, like like Joe's like, hey, you look kind of familiar. Who are you? Oh yeah, I'm Ryder. I'm gonna pay you back for last year. And then he mentions, I'm gonna defeat you just like how Terry was beat. And he's like, wait, what now? Yeah, some guy named Krauser whoop his ass or whatever. And then that's how Joe like found out and got involved into the story instead of him just kind of appearing.
Instead of him Batmaning and him being a jujitsu Batman and just showing up.
Yep,
wait. I have a question. So with the releases of these two films, which was actually released in the US first?
I think the motion picture was released first in America, and then Hungry Wolf, and then the
New Battle.
The new battle. So
yeah.
that's the order. So
they did it backwards.
They went backwards, yeah.
No, they kind of basically released it in the way of like, it's like the equivalent of releasing Return of the Jedi, then A New Hope, then Empire, and you're like, what?
Of course, this is so old that they were actually released in like, VHS tapes, before DVD came out and everything. So originally, like, I think you could buy all three of them as separate VHS tapes, back then. But we bought the 2-pack DVD for 1 and 2, and then I got the motion picture also separate as DVD and everything. I love those, man. I mean, I cherish those a lot. And they're hard to find because they're out of print, I think. I'm not sure. I think maybe a couple of years back they re-released them, but for a while they're out of print. And I'm like,
I think they're getting re-released by I think they're getting recently re-released by Discotek Media, because I know Discotek is trying to release a lot of older stuff. Like they literally just at Anime Expo announced that they're finally releasing season 2, both in English and in sub of Digimon season 2. So it's been forever since they released the first one. So they're going to do that.
You know how Athena like just like holds her belt like that? That's me with the Fair moves, and I found out they were out of print. Like, no, not my babies. Not my babies, no. But anyways, the second fact here is that in the Japanese version, and we don't get this because the American version, the same people did all 3 movies, the voice actors and stuff. But in the Japanese version, Joe's voiced by some other guy in the first one. He had a slightly deeper voice. But the funny thing is, and Andy Bogart too, but Joe's just stands out more because it's so deep compared to, it's not overly deep, but it is deep compared to the Joe that, followed. So the thing is that in Fatal Fury 2 and the motion picture, the same guys, the literal same people that voiced Terry and the same people that voiced Joe and Andy in the games. Now I'm not sure how far they go. I know these are Fatal Fury 3 and Real Bout Special and all those. I'm not sure like if even to this day they're still voicing them or not, but at least during that era, the same people voicing Joe and Andy in the anime were in the games. Like whoever was the voice director liked them so much, put them in the games and everything, which is why their voices changed from Fatal Fury 2 to 3, like different voices. And like I said, with Andy, you can't tell that much when he's talking normally, but you can tell more when he's doing all the Saiyan and stuff, like exactly like he sounds in Fatal Fury 3. But Joe's voice is just so energetic. You could tell, even when he's talking normally, you could tell it's the same dude and all that stuff. And one of the funny things, too, that's kind of coincidental, there was a game called, I think it was called Baruki 1 or something like that for the Neo Geo, that had this other kickboxer guy named Guy. I think his name is Guy Tendo. And he was voiced by the same guy that voices Joe Higashi. So he still sounds like, hey, like those kind of high-pitched sounds that he would make. So one of the things was, and I'm not sure if it was an American version or only the Japanese version, because of course we wouldn't get the joke, but in King of Fighters 11, Guy was a hidden character, so when he fights against Mai's like, hey, can you say Hurricane Upper? Like, just once, please? Like, to kind of make fun of the fact that same voice actors, But yeah, that's basically the thing. It was a weird movie. Like all the references, though, all the new characters were brought in, all the special moves and stuff. There's a part where Andy and Jubei have a little fight, and we're doing the stances. Like that whole scene almost looked like a picture of the video game, but an anime fashion. So that's how close it is. I also like that the Fatal Fury 2 title screen, the music playing is kind of like a more rocked up version of the real Fatal Fury 2 theme when you play the game. It was still that do 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 do. It's like you know, like how close to detail do you get that? It's like that is one of the things. The only thing that would have been missing when you compare that to the Street Fighter anime movie, which I know the Street Fighter anime movie blows these out of the water, but the only thing missing would have been if somewhere in there they had like Ryu's theme, Ken's theme, or something somewhere, you know. And like Fatal Fury actually brings the music, like Kung Fu has his theme and everything, you know, stuff like that.
I think you're absolutely right. I think this is probably one of the best anime adaptations of any fighting game, like based on any fighting game that they've ever done. Like specifically like this duo. That's why when they released it on DVD and I think even VHS, didn't they release it as a double?
Yeah, I
like
think
both
so,
of them
too.
together?
Yeah.
Yeah. So because like I said, because they released it as double impact because it really is like together. They're fantastic because like, yeah, everyone remembers Street Fighter 2, the movie, which is great, but like the first one was kind of okay. It was all right. And like Alpha was meh. But they remember part 2. But like this one having one, not one, but 2. And at least, yeah, it's cheesy and funny and goofy, but at least they're really, really engaging. And I think with the problem with the second movie is that they had the first one, they had a blueprint to work off of so they could kind of build up. The second one, they had pretty much nothing. So they really had to like really stretch shit, like to figure out.
Yeah, that's another thing too, because if they do the tournament like in the game, that's pretty much repeating the first story, another tournament, you know, that kind of thing. So
yeah, it's going to be the same thing over and again. Oh, there was one thing I forgot to mention about the first movie, and it was really funny because it was just like, what was it? Like Terry came to the America or whatever, or
yeah,
somewhere.
Southtown.
Yeah, Southtown. He came to Southtown. He shows up, and then he meets Joe, and then Joe's like, "So are you going to enter the King of Fighters tournament?" He's like, "Fighting tournament?" I'm like, "Wait a minute! If you didn't even know about the fighting tournament, why the fuck are you here?" like it wasn't like even established. Oh, Geese is known in Southtown. No, he just showed up. And it's just like, then why are you here? Like, if you didn't even know about the tournament until Joe mentioned it, and he just randomly was like, "Hey, you gonna be in the tournament? What tournament? What? I mean, what tournament? Why are you here? Why'd you take a boat here?"
Yeah. Hold on, man.
I just think it's really funny. But like I said, I love these movies because they're just so much fun. And I did love how I really loved that scene where it's so funny to me to see how oblivious, like it's so irritating but funny how Mai is like overly jealous of everything Andy does, and he's like not even like, what am I doing? Like, I didn't do anything. She's like, oh, is that what you're looking for in a woman? I'm like, he's not even dating you. Back the fuck up. Like I remember she was like wearing the hat today. Oh, so that's all you see me as, huh? As your friend and nothing more. And he's like, I will no, that's not it. It's like, damn, bitch. Slow your roll. Shit. Made me laugh because I was just thinking like, dude, just calm down. Like shit, you're going from 0 to 10. And all he said was like, "You're one of my," I think, what didn't he just say like, "You're one of my closest friends." And then she just snaps at him like, "Is that all I am to you? I'm just your friend." And I'm like, holy, oh my God, Jesus.
Well, the thing is, they went to Germany or whatever to spy on Krauser. So my sauce acting as like vacation or whatever. Wants to go shopping. Wants to like she's getting pissed because they're not doing a romantic sightsee stuff. And
oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, like she was so pissed because she was like, "Oh, you mean this extremely important trip that's gonna save or make or break your brother and save your brother's life and save him from becoming a massive alcoholic. You mean this trip wasn't about me and getting what I wanted to do shopping?
But
You're such a
remember-
selfish ass.
But remember, she was sent to try to keep them from fighting, and that's the best distraction if you got to take her around and do everything.
That's true.
So
that is true. I never
those
thought
were
about
her
that.
instructions. I mean, of course, we know that's not the real reason, but I'm just saying.
That is
I
true.
found her annoying. I found Maya annoying because that just felt so off to me.
Maya is too clingy to Andy. I mean, like way too, like almost not to Rose in Sonic level, but or Amy in Sonic, but she's pretty bad.
Yeah,
not to that
I mean, she's
level.
just lucky that Andy kind of likes her in his own way and kind of puts up with it. But yeah,
And he's also kind of dumb. Let's be
that
honest.
is
Andy's
kind of
pretty
her
dumb.
personality in the game and everything.
Yeah.
I think their dynamic's a little toxic if you want to go greedy, like I don't know, like she shouldn't be like that obsessed over Andy, like to that level.
Yeah.
It's like calm down, like you guys should not read anything like that serious.
Where am
She called him fiance from the first introduction of the like.
Yeah, that's right.
He's like, whoa, fiance, what? Like,
He's like, what? I never even take you to the movies. What are you talking about?
They train together. That's enough.
Yeah, or like how, like you said in the video game, like how what was it like? She actually like pulls out like this magic like ninja like holographic baby,
yeah.
this baby, and like this is your baby, and he's like, what? And she's like, psych, and it just, I'm like, what the?
There's something going on there.
I just
freak out like that. Either he's scared that it's his, or he found, or either Maya has somebody else. And he's like, wait a minute. You know?
that
We
was the
never
thing.
did
I think
anything.
it
So who
was.
you doing something?
I think it was either Real About 2 or very special. One of those, because the thing is, one of the last things got real lazy. Their ending is just the same character portraits talking, so that's lazy. But one of them, I want to say Real About 2 maybe brought back actual picture endings. So there's like their ending. I want to say it's Andy's ending maybe, and because it's hard to tell with them two in the game if it's Andy's or mine. But like the ending is like like those Japanese door things that you gotta slide open. Those
yeah.
So you see shadows. And it looks like, whoa, Andy and Maya are finally, man, they're doing them. They're shadow and they're moving. They're doing something, But then, like when you see what's actually behind the door, Andy's doing push-ups and Maya's laying on her back with reading a book or something. But obviously,
Oh yeah, I remember that. I was like, what the? Anyway, yeah. I mean, honestly, like I said, I love these movies. I love Fatal Fury and I love SNK to death. Like that's pretty much all I could say about all that.
Yeah, I think we kind of wrapped it up for this one. We are gonna eventually get to both special and the motion picture when we get there, because it's different episodes. I don't like to. I mean, games like this that I love so much, I feel they deserve their own episodes apart instead of cramming Fatal Fury 1, 2, and 3 all like, nah, let's take our time with these episodes and stuff like that. But any final closing thoughts, guys? I think we're kind of done for this one.
Interesting films. If you haven't seen them, I guess you just watch them if you know the lore and the characters and stuff. I can really see people, having fun with it. And with that not the OAV, but with the movie, just in a general sense, because probably was away in France or was in Paris or whatever. He'd gone to Paris for diplomatic reasons. I just noticed how much Japan loves France and Germany. It's just something I've just always noticed. So even with some of the shops in Japan, like, they have like a French style to it or whatever. So
I think it's weird because I think the Europeans, like their style are very like magic. Like it's all like of another world, like fantasy based. If you look at a lot of like architecture in like Europe, it's very like once upon a time kind of based things,
Well,
there's actually oh, sorry.
I don't want to interrupt, but I think another reason is because also, well, yes, of course, France is France. It has its charm, but I think what it also has to do with it is that because like Japan's not far from France, so I think for them it's kind of like hey, if I want to go to vacation, let's go to France because it's not like too far from them. If I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken.
Japan loves the aesthetics of Europe, but they also love the culture of America. It's kind of funny because like they like it in little doses. Like, ooh, this is fun because it's different. Like it's like, okay, cool.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
we'll eventually get back to Fatal Fury because we're going to cover other games here and there. I won't spoil. Well, most of you have seen it, but in Wendy's case, not to spoil. Since Fatal Fury Special was more of a super sequel, we'll go more into that later. There was no real plot and no new whatever. So the motion picture had a theatrical release. It was more. It was hour and a half or so. It was a longer movie and it felt more movie-ish. Better lighting effects and all animation, all that. But it had like these weird made-up enemies for the movie. But at the same time, there's a lot of callbacks like Lily and stuff that, of course, makes sense if you've seen the first two movies. So yeah, you'll have the full story, But yeah, we'll get there. So, anyways, guys, yeah, that's the end of the fighting. The fighting. I was gonna say the diving cutter. The fighting podcast, America's #2 cure for insomnia. If you just can't sleep and you're getting the shakes or whatever, just play this in the background on your YouTubes or whatever. You'll be out like a light. So this is Mark Rodriguez here.
Jack Knives from Jack Knives Reviews.
This is Jupi Tan or Ninja Jupi or Wendy. And remember, if you get punched into a wall and get beat up by a guy after you're a human Beyblade, don't go to drinking. Just train to get stronger because apparently fighting is the way, as they say in The Mandalorian. It is the way. Now turning this over to the one, only, the one that we all love to see, Johnny Rodriguez.
Yes. See you next time, guys.